Hey guys, and welcome back to the HobbyDude 007 channel. Working on two 1/32 scale cars, and took a break this afternoon and started pulling some of the photos and research pictures that I had taken for an upcoming 70s NASCAR. As I was going through that, I ran across this issue of Model Car Science magazine from June 1971. See the King's car on the cover there. This is not the car we're doing right now, but there is some interesting stuff in here and a couple pictures of the car I will be doing. But if you're not familiar with Model Car Science magazine, we're going to go page by page real quick, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. Let's have some fun. Wow. Wow, this is great. Honey, I finally did it. I finally have enough models. Ah! No! Never have this nightmare. Subscribe to the HobbyDude 007 channel now, where there's always room for more models. If you're not familiar with Model Car Science magazine, it was first published in June of 1963, and it covered not only model cars, but slot cars, which were really huge back then. And it ran until July of 1972. I want us to go through this page by page and kind of look and have some fun with some of the prices. First of all, you notice that this June 71 issue was 50 cents. I want to say there were 30 cents the first issues in 63. I think that's what it was. I'll have to go back and look one up. I've got these things boxed up all over the place. But there's some great stuff in here, as you see. Top chop tips, custom Honda 4. There's some funny stuff in here too. Most of which are the prices of some of the stuff in here. For example, the first page, Hobby People. If you remember the Bad Medicine, one of the Tom Daniels, $1.99. But of course, I remember paying for model cars at Kmart way back in the day growing up. $1.77 was the going rate for several years, and I remember that. And then you've got the giant super drag racing posters. Now check these posters out, $1.50 or $3.75, and these are those 2 foot by 3 foot, really big posters. But the model cars, here's some of the trucks, $3.99. Just cool stuff, just cool stuff. But let's get into it a little bit. By the way, the cover, the Petty car on the cover is not in this magazine, but it just, that was kind of a head up for Richard Petty's 70 Superbird wing on its way around Riverside, California. Blah, blah, blah. Johan offers a 1/25th scale kit to duplicate this NASCAR. And our article this month on the current crop of sedan racers shows what the professionals are racing for 1971. So that's one of the reasons I was into this, was the car I'm doing is a 1971 Charger. And let's get on into it here. You've got model mail, so you've got some write-ins and some answers, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there too. I may go back on some of these issues and look at some of the questions and compare them to some of the questions that we may see today. Model Truck Corner, they had a thing that's just for trucks. You know, Scale Auto, way back in the day, also had these things. Best cartoons from Popular Hot Rodding. If you wanted a magazine of just the cartoons, like that. Commercial quality track. Check it out. A slot car track, a 4-lane stock car track, 179 slot cars, Custom Raceways Incorporated. The prices in these things are cool. And again, your racing posters, giant action posters. Volkswagen Grand Touring Style. And a lot of model car stuff, guys. Really cool stuff. But this is just a little article on making this Volkswagen Grand Touring. and cutting out the stars from these military decals to make this. And as you remember on the cover, funny car of the month, the Javelin. And here we go. I know there's some Javelin fans out there. And there's one that's really unique because the engine is in the rear, and I can't remember who drove it, and it's probably in here. The 200-mile-an-hour funny car. Boy, 200 mile an hour is a thing of the past. Now they're in the 350 range. And another one. This one, the Nutcracker, I wasn't familiar with that one. But cool. And this is one of those rear engine jobs. If you notice, the driver's up front. Engine, your header's back by the rear tire. I remember that one too. But there's some really cool stuff in here. Good research pictures. And keep in mind, this is in 1971, so while many things have changed in the aftermarket, the research stuff for even model cars was there. Check out the engine. And there's that rear engine Javelin. Cool stuff. And here's one where it's stretched a bit more, and you see the driver kind of sticking out the back window there. AMX1. But some unique ideas for some awesome projects too. And the Hurry and Hauler. And if you're familiar with Holman and Moody, this was one of their haulers. For this one in particular was for the Fred Lorenzen car back in the 60s. And this shows taking the Galaxy to make the car, the AMT Galaxy kit, 66. And then one of the AMT box haulers, and converting that. And I know I'm a little close here, guys, but I don't want to back away because then it's harder to see as well. And then back before we could print our own decals and stuff, you see the paint, the brush, hand painting. And this was some talent that it took to do this. But I remember my buddy Ricky Couch hand lettering Quaker State onto a Kenny Bernstein top fueler, and he did an outstanding job. And their Fred Lorenzen car. And the finish. Pretty cool, huh? And they've even got the figures down there. And keep in mind, guys, again, this is 1971. Some great talent back then, too, that were building models. And here's something on, you see them wiring up the motors for these tanks. Not necessarily remote control, but they were running. And there's the gearing and all that stuff for that. And I don't remember a lot of military stuff in these magazines, but this one there happened to be that, just showing how to motor up and gear up these tanks, which is kind of cool. The SoCal Contest, Los Angeles Model Builders 7-Eleven Contest. The 7-Eleven food stores actually hosted this, and I want you to get this, guys. You think we have contests with a decent amount of entries now? Whenever 6,000 modelers offer their best efforts in a try for their share of $10,000 prize purse, oh my. Can you believe they were paying money for model car contests? And this article goes into it a lot more. I actually want to do a whole video on what this thing paid and how many years they did it down the road. I don't want to get into it right now because it would be way too much, but the first place in the junior, intermediate, we got a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 17-year-old that in these categories, These guys, if memory serves, they each won $1,000. Can you believe that? But they're biting for their share of $10,000. And I believe in New York City there was a contest one time, a model car contest that was in the 60s, that actually they not only gave a very nice trophy, but you got a real car in the adult class. You guys that are familiar with that, look it up and put it in the comments on which show that was. But I remember reading about that somewhere, but it was really something. Okay, next on over, 4-bore chopper. And I think this was the, I want to say it was I think it was a Revell kit. And y'all can call me out on that too. And even back then, again, this is 1971, they're using K&S stuff and modifying, chopping, and making the front forks a little more realistic. Really cool stuff. You know, as the old saying is, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, in model building, some of that is absolutely the truth. Primer is the right way to paint a model, and there's pointers there. Guys, there's not a single part on a single car that I have done in the last probably many years that I don't paint, or excuse me, primer every single part. Every part. And you know how they advise you to warm up the paint before you spray it? If you're rattle canning or paint spray bombing, always warm the paint. Well, guess what? Even in the 60s and 70s, they were advising to do the same thing. Get you some warm water, not hot water or boiling water, but just warm water. Put your can in it and warm the paint up. It thins it down and gives a little more pressure to the aerosol. It really does help if you're spray bombing. Majesty in Motion. And then here's your... this really was a great magazine. Of course, we've had some great magazines in years past that have come and gone. And another thing is, we use white glue nowadays, Mod Podge, Elmer's to install windows. It's nothing new, guys. Nothing new. I use a lot of epoxies too nowadays, though. Radio control. The driver suits for radio control drivers have changed vastly since I was doing it with my shorts and t-shirt on. Oh, me. And some more, guys. You can tell it's the 70s. And here's a Tim's Chop Top, using just the old Revell kit. And you see how dramatically they've chopped the top. And a great tutorial on the tools you need, how to mask it and mark it, measure, and do your actual chop. Oop, sorry about that. I was off camera there. Then using your body putty, or what they call body solder, to fill in. And your end result. And here's a look at it. The doors, front and rear. There's a look at the rear with it chopped. And the slight modifications you had to make to the interior. There's a questionnaire, and you send it to Model Car Science in Los Angeles, California. But a pretty good little questionnaire. Hey, that's how you find out what people want to see. And then your Model of the Month. And here's what you can win if you're a Model of the Month. It's like a Dremel tool. In fact, it was a Dremel tool. I didn't look at it close enough until just now. It is Dremel. They have changed their design quite a bit too. And these are your Models of the Month, and I guess there's a drawing out of that. Check these out. And again, these are from 1971. Awesome looking funny car. A 71 Mustang. That's either kind of a sedan delivery or a wagon of some sort. Some cool stuff here. And this is what I was pulling it for. Model the Miller 500 NASCARs. A little bit of pictures of a few of the things here. You've got the 69 Mercury that was still being run. That's James Hilton. And this is the car that I'm doing my research on right here, is the Petty Enterprise number 11 Dodge Charger that was driven by Buddy Baker. And I'm not going to get into why that one. If you've watched any of my videos going back, I've mentioned that a number of times why, so y'all can go back and check that out. But the field at the Miller 500, the 3-row start. Another picture of the car and the markings for this particular race. And as I recall, that was second in the race. And there it is again from the front. And his teammate Richard Petty. Richard's car that day. And the ultimate winner that day, or the eventual winner that day, A.J. Foyt in the Wood Brothers car. And Ray Elder, if you're familiar with him, was a West Coast Winston West driver who was very good and very successful in that series. And some RC and slot car info, other magazines, issue 75 cents. I think $1.25 was the most expensive I saw any of the magazines. But cool. And you could subscribe to these magazines quarterly, and some of them were as little as, if you subscribe, for example, with any of these, then they came to 25 cents an issue. And on the last page, I want to share this with you because I actually had one of these Cox Dragsters. If you remember the Cox name, it was control line airplanes that you walked around in circles and you could control the up and down and all that stuff on the control line. I actually had one of these dragsters as well, and it had a Cox, I think they were, and I'm going totally by memory because I don't, yeah, 049. I would have been right. An 049 Cox engine, which would propel this based on what they're saying on the 4-to-1 gear ratio. 19,000 RPMs, came to right at 200 scale miles per hour, which meant this thing would do about 20 miles an hour. But for something that small, I remember it being really fast. And it was really cool because you had a line that you nailed into the asphalt, a cable, and it ran underneath the nose of the car all the way to the back, and there was a loop underneath it that cable ran through, and it went all the way to the end of the track, or where you had it set up. And you had a little splitter thing in it that would deploy a parachute that popped out of the back. I mean, it was really, really cool. You didn't control it. It just ran. You put it down and boom, she took off. But it really was a cool little thing. I really wish I'd have kept that. And check this out. See Eliminator 2 at your toy hobby or department store. Less than $16. Woohoo! Boy, if you could find it now, it'd be worth more than that. I think it came in red with all the red, white, and blue trim, and it came in blue, and mine was dark blue with all of this trim stuff on it. But it was really cool. And then you have the MPC Honda Trail 70. I think, as I recall, I had one of these, and I think I traded it to a buddy when he saw it for something. I think it was for, I want to say it was Pie Wagon that he had just gotten, and I really wanted to do that car, so I think we traded those. So I never really built this one, but isn't it cool? I remember riding the real ones like this, little Honda mini bikes, as we call them. But some cool memories and some great stuff there, guys. Hey, thanks for sticking around just to peruse through this. Check out some of those awesome prices. And if you ever get a chance to run across one of these old things, Model Car Science magazine, really, really cool. Great trip down memory lane for me too. Well, next video or two, I got a couple things coming up. I want to share with you, including a little bit of progress and a little problem I ran into on my 32nd scale group build. And getting closer on the 32nd scale Earnhardt car, and I'll be filling you in on that. Probably not in the next week or so. Well, I don't know. We're going to see how that's going. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.